Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is your host Ria Mahomed on Next Gen right here at Radio Al Ansar. From exploring current trends to delving into pressing issues like social justice and mental health, this show fearlessly tackles the pivotal subjects that resonate deeply within our generation. My mission is to embody authenticity, relatability and humor, ensuring that even the most challenging discussions become accessible and engaging, creating a space where listeners can feel understood and entertained simultaneously. Now, joining us today in studio, we have Ria Mahomed. I'm hoping I pronounced this correctly.
You did.
But she is a South African filmmaker, writer, performer, and author of the historical fiction novel Riot. She grew up in Durban and has been involved in storytelling from a young age, entering the film industry at the age of 13 and acting in international adverts and modeling campaigns. Now, she studied filmmaking in Cape Town, specializing in directing and producing. Her films have been screened both locally and internationally, including at film festivals in Italy. Now, her debut novel, Riot, was inspired by the July 2021 unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and her discovery of the largely forgotten 1949 Durban riots. Now, she originally wrote the story as a screenplay before adapting it into a novel. So in addition to writing, she has worked as a director, producer, actress, model, and founded her own production company, Stalia Productions, and her stated goal is to tell authentic South African and African stories that educate, challenge, and connect people. Now, one of the things that stands out about her work is her focus on preserving local history. For Riot, she interviewed people whose families experienced the 1949 violence firsthand and incorporated those stories into the novel's historical background. And as of the publication of Riot, she was around 20 years old and was already gaining recognition as one of South Africa's emerging young storytellers. Now, okay, here we have to cut to the chase. Our beautiful Ria Mahomed, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Is it correct? I was so worried. Okay, firstly, assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, and yourself?
Well, alhamdulillah. I'm really excited for this. Last week, we had a program planned, but unfortunately, it was cancelled.
You know what? That's the media business.
Indeed, it is.
Understand.
You are in it.
Yes.
Anyway, about your surname, where is it from?
So I'm half Greek.
Oh, wow,
half
okay.
Indian. So my mom is Muslim and my dad is Greek.
Okay.
So that's where the Kumandarakis come from.
I see.
And, you're one of the first people who have pronounced it properly. I'm actually quite impressed.
I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm glad I did, because I was hoping that, I hope I don't pronounce her name incorrectly, because the pronunciation is very unique. It's different. That's why when you came through, I was like, where's this girl from? People are going to wonder the same thing.
No, completely.
If they see you live on Facebook, so please tune in and watch it you can watch it on YouTube and Facebook. But anyway, so today is going to be really interesting. You're a film producer, you've written a book, you've done so much at such a young age. Wait, so how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 21 as of January this year.
Wonderful.
And it's I'm very excited. There's a lot that we're doing and there's a lot that we still plan to do. And the journey's just beginning.
Yeah, well, that is brilliant. Okay, of course, we know about the book Riot that you've written. What inspired you to write Riot?
Well, I don't know if you remember the 2021 riots that we had here in July in Durban, and they were catastrophic. It was the first time that I had seen something like this, with the rioting, the looting. We'd wake up and the smell of gunpowder would be in the air.
Yeah.
And it was a very scary time. A lot of our family members were here in Overport, and we were worried for their safety. My gran lives alone, what would that look like? And, I spoke to my mom about it, and she says, Ollie, this isn't the first time riots like this have happened in South Africa. And I said, are you serious? Were they worse than this? What was it about? And I was in high school. I was 16 at the time, barricaded in our house. At first, it was really cool because we didn't have to go to school. But reality slowly kicked in. And she said, she told me about the 1949 riots, and I just couldn't believe it, because I was a history student in high school, and we never heard about the 1949 riots, and we were learning South African history. So when schools eventually opened up again, I went in and I asked my history teacher, and I said, can we learn about this? What do you have to say about it? Because the riots, the 2021 riots, were a topic in discussion in our class. So she had no idea about the 1949 riots, and that's a history teacher. And I said, okay, well, she doesn't know about it, then this is fake, right? Obviously, it has to be. My mom was lying to me about something. And then I started to do my own research, and I spoke to my great-grandmother. And she had told me, she had lived through the riots, and she had told me about them. And I started doing my own research, and I found out that the 1949 riots were the second deadliest riots in South African history during the apartheid era. They were the second under the Soweto uprising. And for that chunk of history to be erased, to be forgotten, for it not to be represented in any shape or form, is a crime.
Indeed.
And it's an injustice to the people who had lived through it, to the people who are still affected by it. And it also goes to show that if you don't learn from your mistakes, history is just going to repeat itself.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think the step forward is just to educate ourselves about the riots, and that's why I took it upon myself, is that if no one else was going to write it or tell the story, that I was going to.
I absolutely love that, and I admire that. So I'm basically assuming that you started writing the book at 16.
Yes.
And you published it officially at 21.
Yes.
Well, 20, sorry. I think that is absolutely amazing. So in fact, I started writing a book combined with poetry, motivation, and reflection on society, I think when I was about 17. I've completed it since last year, but the problem is, like, okay, I was planning on like working on getting it published and whatnot, but then my twin brother had met up in an accident, so all my plans just crashed down. And then I started another job where I'm more managing businesses and sorting that out, plus studying law. So I haven't really had time, but you're inspiring me to get this book sorted and published.
Well,
I absolutely love that.
Let me know if you need any publishers. Like, I'm always happy to assist.
That would be awesome.
Well, that's actually the next thing that I'm doing is, when I was 16 and I wrote this book, it started off as a screenplay because I'm in the film industry and I've always wanted to be in the film industry since I was little. So I started writing this as a script. And many people were interested in the story when we were communicating via email or, you know, just chatting. But the minute they saw me or they heard about my age, they didn't take me seriously.
You know, that's what a lot of people do.
They just shrugged me off. So my initiative now, after publishing Riot, is uplifting the youth and telling our stories, our South African stories from the youth. So since publishing earlier this year in March, I went to the London Book Fair.
Oh, that is awesome.
It was an incredible opportunity. And you know, our own South Africans didn't want to publish the story, but when I went to the international community, they were eating it up. You know, the international community loves African stories. And we need to put ourselves out there. We need more of our African stories to be told, because in the media, you see the stories that are told by the Americans or, you know, the
There's
Englishmen.
not much from South Africa.
Not from South Africa. So.
I mean, well, as you mentioned, when you were in school, I mean, you were a history student, and but your history teacher did not know anything about this 1949 riot. I think that's absolutely insane, because in school we want to learn about the history, and I mean, it's history, it's happened in the past,
and what our grandparents went through. Exactly.
Yes, but we're learning more about the closer times toward like what's going on now than learning about, as you said, 1949 riots. I mean, that's absolutely insane. So that's something I guess needs to be brought up in the education system.
Definitely.
Instead of just focusing on certain things that you don't really need to know much about. But now, before writing the novel, how much should you know about the 1949 riots?
Nothing at all. That's why I found it so bizarre that there wasn't any information. I mean, even if you Google it now, there's not much that comes up. And as I said, for the second largest riot in South African history, I'd expect more. And I mean, they didn't even do a proper commission report because, you know, the National Party government at the time obviously wanted to keep it hidden or shove it under the rug. So there wasn't even a proper commission report done on the events of it. So I knew nothing. There wasn't much information, and I got into the UKZN archives, and that's where I started finding my research and finding the stories, and then with all the personal interviews, because it's one thing reading about it, but it's another thing going and interviewing people and learning their stories and what the struggles they face, because that's a different kind of human touch to it, and another side of the story that people don't know is how it affected everybody's lives and how it still affects them in today's time.
Yeah, because if you think about it, democracy isn't that present in this era still. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. I think that's absolutely amazing. I mean, you've written a book from the age of 16. That is extremely admirable. And yeah, so I'm glad, I could have you in studio and we can chat about it.
I'm so excited to be here.
Because, I mean, so much has happened in the past and there's so much you could learn from it. So when you spoke about, you mentioned your research. How did you get it? How did you acquire it?
So, my mother was friends with Professor Dasrat Chetty. He works at UKZN, and he gave us theses documenting the event. So one of, a while ago, the students in the UKZN did studies on the 1949 riots, and their theses gave a lot of research and documenting the event. So we took all of those theses, plus whatever additional information that they had, and we sat through and read it and went through it. But I mean, it took 4 years to write. From the start of the idea to publishing, it took 4 years. And it's because we wanted it so historically accurate. Because the thing is, if we tell a part of history incorrectly, then we're doing more damage.
Yes, indeed.
So it's very important to get your facts straight. And that's why at the back of the novel, there is all our records, where we got it from, where it's taken, where we got our information from, all the sources, the acknowledgements, people we've interviewed. So when you read it, you can almost go back and use it like a historical dictionary almost to see where we found the facts from.
No, I think that's absolutely amazing. I mean, you said you interviewed people who experienced the 1949 riots. I mean, your great-grandmother. I mean, you spoke to her about it, and I think that's absolutely awesome. About the fact that you had someone who can tell you a bit about it, and that can broaden your spectrum to go through out and look for other people who can speak to you about it and give you all your historical accurate information. So that's awesome.
And I would just like to add, so next up is we're making the film for Riot.
Okay. That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my goal was always for it to be a film. As I said, I'm in the film industry. That's my bread and butter. So I never thought I could write a book to start off with. I'm so dyslexic. But I mean, after this, we need to make it into a film, and we've got some great partnerships with UK production companies and such. So the next step for any of the listeners tuning in right now, please send me your stories. You can find me on www.riot1949.com, and there's a little section there where you can send us your stories, your experiences, maybe your grandparents, your parents, what they went through. Because we need information for the film, and we're trying to get a little bit more to make it.
That would be awesome. Like, I actually would really like the listeners to send us basically the same information that they're sending you. And I think that would be awesome to also read some of what you guys have to say and about your experiences, about your parents' experiences, your grandparents. I think that would be absolutely amazing as well. And we'd obviously pass it on to our awesome producer and author at 060-904-1056. Now, were there any stories or testimonies that you came across that particularly moved you?
Definitely. It's a bit sensitive, actually. So the commission report states the number of deaths and injury in the riots, and it was a large number, obviously.
Yes.
But what the commission report doesn't specify or put down is the number of suicides, because that's not counted.
I see.
And the thing is, there were hundreds of women and children that were raped during this time. And because obviously that's such a shameful thing that they have to live with, they're obviously not they would come from such conservative households that when something like this happens to you, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to turn to, you don't know how to live with yourself almost. And because of that, there were so many people who committed suicide because of it. And I think that was just something that really tugged at my heartstrings. And when I found that out, I was quite distraught.
I mean, I guess at that time, psychologists, psychiatrists were not really available for people, especially people who came from underprivileged homes and didn't have access to it. So I guess that is their source to, I guess, freedom, which was suicide.
And I mean, even in the community, there was such a great amount of shame with things like that happened. And I'm so glad that times have changed now, and it's we are able to have more open conversations about those sorts of topics.
Because I know back then, like, if you want to cry about something, or if you want to go speak to someone, it's like you're called weak.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely horrible.
I agree.
Because it actually makes you so much stronger when you acknowledge what you're feeling and you go toward helping yourself, whether it's talking to someone or even journaling.
Mental illness is an illness.
It
okay,
is,
we forget that. You have you need to treat it.
Yes, 100%.
So, yeah.
Now, okay, the novel was originally conceived as a screenplay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you still hope to see Riot adapted for film or television?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Sorry. I mean, that is awesome. I want to be at the premiere.
Please
when you do this. I'd
You're
love
invited.
to be there. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm taking that.
Front row and
I'm
center.
going to hold it. Okay. Okay, so what advice would you give young people who want to become writers or filmmakers?
Start.
Okay.
That's it. It's so... I think the most difficult step is taking the first one.
Yeah.
You have your ideas, you know what you want to say, but you don't know how it's going to be perceived, or you don't know if you're good enough, or you don't know how to write. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It
just
doesn't
write.
matter. Just start.
Yeah.
The minute you put your first line down, then it's just you've started it already. Now it's just a matter of finishing it.
Yeah.
And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. Who cares? You know, if it is, you know, you'll fly. And you have to understand that things take time and take practice. That's why when I first started writing, the initial draft of that screenplay, I handed it to an editor, Zaid Ismail, who he finished writing Riot with me. You know, he was the editor throughout the process, and he said, "It's good for a 16-year-old, you know, but it's not good literature." Yeah, and obviously that's not something you want to hear, but it was. It was true. Yeah. You know, the way you write at 16, no one wants to listen to that. It's not good enough. Yeah. And that's why it took 4 years of writing and rewriting and editing and changing and adapting it and putting more research, more backstories. And every time you come with a new idea or you want to add something, it changes everything. Yeah, yeah. So if you can't attach yourself too much to the story where once it's written, that's it, that's set. Yeah. It needs revision, it needs work. Just start.
And when you were during that process, did you ever experience procrastination?
Oh my God, to no end. Yes, of course. A lot of it. You see, when I was writing it, I was still going through matric. Yeah. I started university, I ended university, I published it after I got my degree. So there's a lot going on in your life when you're doing tasks like these. So there were definitely moments or periods of time where I'd have to put the pen down, not because I wanted to, but because there was other things that I needed to give focus to. And there were a lot of times where I had writer's block, or you know, you don't have that inspiration, that motivation to continue. And sometimes when you have to rewrite and you know it's going to be a long rewrite, you don't want to touch it. Yeah. So there were definitely a lot of those moments in the past 4 years. But I think what kept me grounded was my mother.
I love that.
Yeah. She has been my biggest supporter. And every time that there was where I'd feel unmotivated or I'd leave it for too long, she'd say, you know, where are your chapters? Come on, man, I'm waiting for the next one. Hurry up, let's see.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go into a quick ad break and we'll see everyone soon.
Perfect, bye.
What was, I've had it, standing up again, taking back control of myself. You showed me a light to you when I was surrounded by dark. I can't live that again. I'm asking Rabbi, please have mercy on me and take it easy on my heart. Wasn't always on the deed.
This segment is brought to you by Kenfield Auto, your RMI approved service and repair specialist. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Kenfield Auto.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbana innaka man tudkhilin nar faqad akhzaytah. وما للظالمين من أنصار.
Car won't start?
Kenfield Auto.
Noisy brakes?
Kenfield Auto.
Due for a service?